to City Girls Pod, and this is the show where we like to talk about all things Sex and the City and everything Sarah Jessica Parker, including her show Square Pegs. We're almost finished. I can't believe it because it's just one season show. But today we're talking about episodes 17 and 18. And are you excited? Are you excited, Jax?
I am. These are some very interesting episodes I'm
Yeah.
excited to chat about with you. And it's our penultimate
Yeah.
podcast episode of Square Peg.
Yeah, yeah. And I can kind of see a little bit now as feel like it started like really strong. And maybe it was just because just the excitement of starting something new, and something I had never seen at all. Maybe that was part of it, but I do feel like it's kind of lost a little bit. It just sort of petered out a little bit.
Yes, I was reading an article about how towards the end of the season, you can tell the strain that was happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I
I think
agree.
you're exactly right about that. You can almost feel it. It's
Uh-huh.
palpable.
Yeah. Well, so our first episode, it's episode 17 called To Serve We and Me All My Days. And this is Lauren and Patty are pitted against Muffy when they go to bat for their favorite teacher. His radical lifestyle and unconventional teaching methods threaten to get him fired from Wee. So this is just wild. Like, it's just unbelievable that in basically in 40 years since this aired, that that this wouldn't even be considered like shocking in any way now, his radical lifestyle.
That he has a girlfriend that lives in the same apartment building.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's not even his child.
No,
And
no,
I mean, as if anybody would care now anyway, if it was his
right.
child, like nobody would care about any of this. Like, I mean, I'm trying to think of what would be considered maybe shocking still to this day. I do think maybe if he was like a polygamist, maybe that might still have some degree of, maybe not as much in Utah, but other places. Like, I think there might still be a little bit of a shock value in something like that. I don't know. There's not that much that these days is considered shocking anymore, I don't think, as far as your
Yeah,
living situation.
I literally was going to say the same thing. I was watching the new season of Couples Therapy, and they
Uh-huh.
have a couple that's polyamorous that he is they're not a throuple, but he has two girlfriends. They have other partners, but basically like they were talking about how that lifestyle is still very considered to be unconventional. I think you're
Mm-hmm.
exactly right about that with like polygamy. I think that would be considered, even now for people to be like, "Oh, that's different." But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're right, Rachel. There's nothing about this situation now that would raise one eyebrow from anyone.
Yeah, and it is like it was shocking. I mean, yeah, Muffy has been a character who's kind of oblivious to social cues and
Yeah,
just being but to hear her saying some of the things she said was just like, whoa,
girl.
it was shocking. I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was intense. I mean, but then there were also really funny lines like when Vinny's like, if a guy can live with a girl without having to marry her, I say go for it.
Yeah, it did allow like look, it was kind of wild and wonky, but it I think what was interesting was that we were seeing them stand up for it in the way that you would a social cause that you're really passionate about. And I was
Uh-huh.
interested in why they just didn't have them do something like animal rights or something
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of this.
Well, and the it was kind of fun to see like a young Carrie basically like emerging
Yeah.
from Sarah Jessica Parker for Patty here when that you should write down that speech, put it together. If you put it in the paper, people will believe you. Yeah, I mean, you would never say that now.
No,
Never.
no,
I mean,
never.
that's for
No.
sure. Well, I mean,
It's
nobody reads the paper anyway. But I do sometimes feel like there are those people that if something is in traditional media, it makes it like way more valuable. Like if I were to tell people, even if let's say I'm on a friend's YouTube channel where they have over 100,000 subscribers and it's going to get a ton of views,
Yeah.
right? I can tell them that. And, they'll be like, oh, that's fun, cool. But if I tell them I'm going on like Good Things Utah, which has way less than 100,000, like there's just certain people that just equate that as being, oh, you've made it. You finally
That's a really good point that we consume media differently now.
mm-hmm.
So
So like
yeah,
the older generation still kinds of sees things in this different way.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah. So at first, I mean, Muffy, she doesn't even like believe that he could have a child. Like she's just like, he's not married. How can he have a child?
Baby girl.
And she just immediately, he should absolutely be fired for his personal life.
Yeah, it's kind of like Muffy, why do you care? Also, we've stopped talking about her Guatemalan child.
Right.
Did they just let go of that bit?
But the, and he says, Mr. Donovan says, you are going to stand up for me, aren't you? To the principal. And he's basically like, well, I don't want it to mess up my golf game that he has with the people on the board and whatever. And
Yikes, okay.
yeah, I mean, in my experience with teachers when I was going to high school, was that the ones that everybody loved were the ones that got the most grief from the administration.
Definitely.
That they were the most difficult. Not the most difficult, but the ones that caused that they were the ones that the administration tried to change most.
Definitely. I think you feel like you want people who are like under your thumb. And also that they are the ones who tend to push boundaries and stuff. And also I think
Mm-hmm.
there's some jealousy that they're well
Yeah.
liked.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/hallmarkies.
LaDonna when she says that Marvin Hamlish, not Marvin Gaye. And it's like Marvin Hamlish. I hate that man. That made me laugh.
That was great.
Yeah, that was funny. And then Patty says to Muffy, says, you are really making me mad. This is 1983. People live together.
Yeah, and it's a little bit like, why is it your business? It's your teacher. Like it's not even like
Yeah.
your parents are divorced and you're like ashamed and you're like having a bone to pick with your dad or your mom. It's like it's your teacher. Why are you even in their business?
Yeah, it makes, I mean, at least with something like polygamy, they're legit breaking a law in most states.
Right.
So
Right.
like I could kind of see it, I guess. But yeah, she's just like, not in my house. People don't do that. And it was just really surprising and interesting. That it would be so different in this time. I did like when Jennifer's like, they both wear stupid brown shoes that have money in them because they're wearing those penny loafers.
Yeah. And then there's the shot looking at the penny loafers. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. And so then Muffy says too much open debate is bad for a free society.
Of course she thinks that. Of course Muffy thinks that.
Yeah. And then Vinny says, you sure know how to put words together and form sentences. And that's not easy to do. You should type up that speech you said and put it in the school paper. Then everyone will believe you because it's in the paper.
Then we see a young Carrie Bradshaw.
That's right.
Okay.
And so then Muffy wants this Mr. Donovan's resignation. And so some things you can't fight for and win. It's better to go with the flow, is what Mr. Donovan says. And then Vinny says, your last class was extremely boring. And he says, I'm too unconventional to sell out. And so he says he's gonna quit. And it's just crazy. And so Lauren talks to him because Lauren has a crush on him. And it's just they do that. They end up with this sit-in thing, which was fun.
Yeah, Lauren and her crushes on people that are inappropriate for her are interesting.
What's going on?
What is going on?
She should just have a crush on Marshall.
Like, please. He's adorable. He likes her.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I hate when people diagnose women. Like, I feel like a lot of guys will be like, oh, that woman has daddy issues. But we are wondering what's going on.
There's something going on with Lauren. It really is.
Yeah.
And basically she tells him, like, just get married. And he's like, well, I've considered it, but that's just, you want to actually like get married, like not just do it because people are, blackmailing you out of your job.
Right.
And so then Vinny plays We Shall Overcome, and then they all sing it, which was a nice moment.
Yeah.
And LaDonna was like, I didn't know you knew this song. Because this is a classic spiritual.
That was a really great moment.
Mm-hmm. And then Mr. Donna says, these students have been thinking for themselves. And he says to Jennifer, you were actually listening to my class? I tried paying attention one day, and it was really okay. If you stayed at the school, I might do it again.
High praise from Jennifer.
Yes. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Factor Meals. Warmer, sunnier days are calling. Fuel up for them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time for summer thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Crush your wellness goals this month with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients you can trust. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. Keep kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes. No shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. Enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced. Head to factormeals.com/hallmarkies50 and use code hallmarkies50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code hallmarkies50 at factormeals.com/hallmarkies50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Definitely check out Factor Meals. We know you'll love them. And Patty says, Mr. Donovan, you've reached a lot of us. So, yeah. I mean, I think we all had those teachers. Like I said, they were the ones that gave the administration the most grief, but we all had those teachers in high school and middle school that go the extra mile.
Yeah. And I think we're so grateful for that because, without teachers like that, I feel like you could kind of just be going through the motions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember Mr. Foster. He was the physics teacher. For me to like science, that's saying a lot. I remember Mr. Schofield was a history teacher, and he was a favorite. We loved his class. And then Mrs. Leonard was my English teacher. And I still appreciate the fact that she tried to pick unconventional books not like the same ones that everybody reads in high school. Like we did Watership Down, which
Oh.
I feel like is kind of an unusual pick and a smart pick because it has so much to talk about. You know, there's because it's ostensibly about these bunnies, but obviously it's about much more. And so that was fun. We did To Kill a Mockingbird with her, you know, which is of course so great, and Death of a Salesman. I remember those. Those were some of the ones. She was a favorite. Those are the ones I actually remember their names.
I bet you were really great at English.
It was definitely my best subject in history. Those are my two best subjects. Yeah. And then I took aquatics. I got my lifeguarding certification my sophomore year, and that was a huge goal of mine and very exciting.
You could take aquatics at school.
At school, yeah.
Cool.
Which you know, at the time, it didn't even strike me as like odd to like most people would be kind of uncomfortable taking aquatics first period and being all wet and just everything, but I don't know, I loved it and getting to pass my lifeguarding certification was very exciting. It was very exciting.
I think that's really cool. It's not only a very cool personal accomplishment, but I think knowing that you can save people like that, I think it's very like there's something about it that is just like, oh wow.
Well, it was just cool too because most people wouldn't have. I've always been a heavier girl. I mean, ever since I was literally like 8 or 9, and so it was just somebody that most people wouldn't see somebody like me and think, oh, you're a lifeguard. So that was cool to me, meaningful to do something like that. So. And they say that Dingleman decides to support him. Mr. Donovan says it's nice to win for a change. Sometimes it's better to be right than popular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, usually, almost always. You're right.
Yeah, and that you could feel. I think that's hard. I think like it's easier said than done, but I think it's an important thing to remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
So, all right. So then the next episode is called No Substitutions. And this is one of the most famous episodes of the show because it has Bill Murray as the substitute teacher. It says, Bill Murray guest stars as Mr. McNulty, a freewheeling Weemumbwee High substitute teacher who creates some unexpected repercussions for the freshman class. So, you know, it's interesting because this would have been pre-Ghostbusters, pre-movie star Bill Murray. So this was just obviously with Anne being a Saturday Night Live writer, it makes sense of why they would have had Bill Murray on. But his character made me extremely uncomfortable.
This
like, talk about grooming, like really. I was just like, what?
It was almost, Rachel, the thing about it was almost so overt that it was more okay. Like it wasn't this insidious kind of hidden thing. It was just like, oh my gosh, it's right out there. I mean, and it's Bill Murray, this is such an iconic episode, but it was wild to see.
Yeah. So basically he, I guess he's given no like lesson plans or something. He's like substitute teaching for Miss Loomis. And he decides he's going to have the students be married. He's going to match them up. And it includes basically him getting married to Patty. And it's like super awkward. He has this whole scene where he asks her out basically on a date. And the way he's talking about her, I was just like, he's such a groomer.
He's dancing with her, the way he's touching her. Like,
Yeah. And Patty's like, this is just acting, right? Like,
what are we doing? Like, what is happening here?
like, what is she supposed to learn from this?
I have absolutely no earthly idea of what. Like, Bill Murray's great, and honestly, he's so gosh darn charming that he's like great in this episode. But I don't understand what they. And also, it seems weird to have this episode after last episode where we have like Lauren in love with the teacher, and then now it's like the teacher's grooming. Like, it's like these weird little things. So many inappropriate teacher relationships, and like the janitor. It's just a lot in a row.
Yeah, and evidently Miss Loomis is also not the best teacher. She says that last week they learned self-sufficiency and how to pick up men at a school lodge.
Yeah.
What?
I have questions.
Yeah. And so he does the marriage matches, and I have heard of like home ec classes and things like that where they'll match, kids up, and they have like a fake family and whatever, but it's usually not this like intense. Or sometimes they'll do like did you ever do the thing of flour that you have to
I don't want to brag about this, and I say that I went to a school district that was a very poor school district, but what they sprung for money-wise was getting a fake baby that cried. We didn't even have to do the trick. Now, look, we didn't have anything else, but that's what we had.
Yeah.
So yeah, did you do the sugar? Did you have that?
The flour. I never did, but I heard about it, that
Yes.
you had to take care of your thing of flour and
Yep.
stuff like that. I don't think I ever did it, but
Yeah, we took ours home, and they would cry, and you'd have to feed them, and then they would record if you didn't feed them. It was a whole thing.
Yeah. Did you pass? Were you good? Were you a good mom?
Yeah.
Yeah. You were a good mom.
Babysitter extraordinaire over here.
So he matches up Lauren and Vinny, and that was funny. That was a good match. And then Muffy and Johnny, and that was funny as well. And they all take it very seriously.
Yes, Muffy was hating it. LaDonna is a grieving widow.
Which was funny. This because some have the single life, including LaDonna being the widow. And so then Bill Murray teacher asks Patty out basically on a date. And I was like, what?
I just didn't know.
And then he even says if she wasn't legally blind, if she wasn't legally blind, she'd be perfect. And I wrote down, what?
What? I know. I said the same thing. I was like, wait, what are you also making fun of her glasses? Like, are we like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, does he legit kind of have a crush on her?
I know.
Does he want to like date her and she's a teenager? It was just weird. I thought we were supposed to think he's like super. This is like Mr. Keating, supposed to be like the amazing teacher kind of a thing. We're supposed to be so impressed by him, and I'm like, wow, this just not translate at all to a modern audience.
Not at all. I think if this wasn't Bill Murray, who was like such a good actor and also like so iconic, I would have been like, I don't know if I can even watch this. Like, this is almost impossible. He's so entertaining.
Yeah, and there was some funny jokes, like Johnny kept carrying Muffy over the threshold. Stop carrying me over thresholds. That was funny.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
That scene where Patty and Bill Murray are dancing together, that was so weird.
I thought they were gonna kiss. They
thought so
kissed at one
too.
point.
It was so hard.
I couldn't even try. I thought this was gonna end so differently, but it didn't even acknowledge that what happened was weird.
Yeah, there was I was just gonna say that. Even Mr. Donovan is like jealous of this guy, and there's never any sense of that he's in the wrong.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
It's not like it's like treated as creepy or the Patty's uncomfortable with this or anything.
No, also what it isn't weird is like it's not like Patty's not uncomfortable, one, like you just said, but also she doesn't seem like she's like it's not like she actually falls for him, so that's not even that plot point. It's just this weird thing where I'm like, what were you trying to do?
Yeah. And I mean, it does make you kind of think about, movies of that time, like Manhattan, where Woody Allen's character is dating a teenager, in that movie. And it's treated as just kind of normal, like not really that big a deal.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. And then we have Mr. Donovan. Donovan hears this is the most popular teacher in history, and he's getting jealous, and he's going to talk to him about it. And Lauren and Vinny say they have irreconcilable differences.
That was funny.
That was good.
And that's true if it was the two of them.
Yes. And then Johnny and Muffy say that we need a divorce. And then says, well, a baby will save us.
That was cute too.
And Patty says, this is just acting, like this is not real, and to them, and says, each of our husbands and wives are completely different people, and that's what makes it hard. You're a magnet and I'm a refrigerator. So, but
I want to thank Bill Murray and Sarah Jessica Parker. When you guys got this script, what did you think? Also now in 2024,
I'd be curious.
Huge A-list celebrities, what do you think now?
Yeah, I would be interested to know how, what they thought then and what they, thought now. And he says to her, we'll always have Wee Moo at the end. So she was at least saved from creepy
whatever this was.
So there we go. This was just one of the, it's always interesting with media, just how some things just don't hold up. And it's kind of an interesting time capsule.
That's a great way to put
episodes are in a lot of
definitely
ways.
And I think it'll be really intriguing for us to review our last episode of this Square Peg series. It'll be really interesting to see how it all wraps up or doesn't wrap up, because we don't know.
Yeah, it will definitely. Well, if you all have seen either of these, let us know what you think. We'd be very curious for both of them, because they were interesting. And if you can what you thought, we'd just be curious to know. And we got the final recap coming, so that should be fun. And it's been a fun project. It's just nice to talk about something that's just totally new to us, and it's just something creative and out of the box for me.
Yeah, I love that it was completely new to both of us. So we got to, like, I really like doing Sex in the City because I never watched it all the way through.
Right.
Like that. And also because, like, I love talking to you about anything. But I think this was special for us that we both were not exposed to this before.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Well, there we go. That was this was a lot of fun to talk about these very unusual episodes. So if you are listening on iTunes, please if you're listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We'd sure appreciate it. And Jax, how can people follow you?
Jacqueline Collier on Instagram.
And you can follow us at City Girls Pod on Twitter, and at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. You can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, and iTunes, YouTube, on Rotten Tomatoes, everywhere. So check that out. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that. And make sure you check out all of our City Girls Pod episodes. We have every episode of Sex in the City. We've got Carrie Diaries. We've got this. We've got movies. Just got tons of stuff.
SJP, where are you?
Yeah,
girl.
Absolutely. And so take a look at that, and check out the Patreon. We really appreciate that support, and the merch store. We got City Girls Pod merch, so check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.